Welcome to the BTC show. My name is Charles Umeh. So for this season, we took a tour to the United Kingdom and we had to meet business young people that make an impact. So for today's episode, we're having Tochukwu Nwofor. So for this conversation, we had to get personal with him. His journey as a business person in the city of Birmingham, United Kingdom. Tochukwu took us on a very long journey. And if you're anywhere around the world thinking of what it takes for you to make that journey from somewhere to the next place, then his story would inspire you. We talked about how he runs his business and the challenges he's faced traveling and what it takes to be an immigrant and thrive and represent his place of birth doing the right thing. So for anyone that really wants to understand what business is like, if you think you can do this, what you've been doing in your present country, in another part of the world, or if you had dreams and you've ever wondered if your dreams is valid, I think this Tochukwu story should be one you should listen to. Hi, Mr. Tochukwu.
Hi, Charles.
Good to meet you.
Always a pleasure.
You're looking different, man.
Yes, today.
I represent the part of the world where I come from. Who do you represent?
I represent the global person that I am.
Good to meet you, Tochukwu.
Good to meet you, Charles. As always.
So for someone that hasn't met you before, tell us a bit about yourself.
Wow. From which parts of the bit about myself?
From the child that disturbed the mom and the mother's womb to the one that is in the city of Birmingham with his family.
That is not my problem.
Are you very sure of that part of the story?
I think I am pretty sure. The only part I wasn't happy about was they gave birth to me in unit 1-8 UNT Eugenical.
You didn't forget that part. Okay, it's okay.
It's an interesting journey for me. The last of nine children, and grew up in Enugu, Tochukwu. Born in Tochukwu, Enugu, grew up there, and all my knowledge as a child, I was a curious kid. I always asked questions, whether to brothers, sisters, mother, father, or anyone that cared to ask her. I always had questions to ask, and they said I ate a lot. And it was interesting that they said when I finish eating, if my stomach does not go round, I will not stop. So I just loved food. But those were things that I just had to always ask questions. So growing up, a lot of my friends said I was jack of all trades, but they did not understand what my name was, right? I realized that I always got involved in people's problems. I always wanted to find out what people's problems were and always found a way to solve them. So asking questions as a child and trying to find them, breaking different parts of my body, playing football, being the best at something, baking, cooking, doing different things just to prove a point were the hallmark of my childhood, right? But going in and starting to find purpose, I realized that I was asking the questions nobody wanted to ask, and I dared into areas people were really afraid to go to. And then that was really how interesting my childhood was, because I was quite daring. I would sit down and look at a hill that I felt nobody has gone to, and I call my best friend Chi, and we say, let's go to the top of the hill. And we climb the hill, and then we get there, we dig a hole, and then we put a flag, and we come down. We were just daring things to say, okay, there's this river that we've not gone to jump in, and we get to that river, and we're like, let's try it. And they will say to us, you can't go out because you need to read your books. And we'll say, okay, we are first taught in the school so that you can know academically we are not there, we're not lacking. We just needed more. And the mistake you will make was to send me on an errand, because that's me gone for the day, right? And they just knew that this guy was just in a hurry to find something. I didn't know what it was. But growing up, it was clearer to me that there was a purpose higher than myself. And it's interesting to look back now 40 years later and say, wow, it was an interesting ride, right? It's from the person that was to the person that has become a teenager to become, my friends used to call me pastor, right? Because I really did not follow the normal ways of the young people, be truant, to do it. My path was different because God found me early, and coming from a family where My dad had been in Uboni, Amor, Court of Darkness for 30 years, 40 years, and having an elder brother that was the head of a cult southeast, and I could easily make my decisions because I had 8 people. I could x-ray their lives and make a decision on the path to go. So it was easy to make my decisions because I could look at their lives and say, this person tried this person tried this. No. So I didn't have the luxury of making a lot of mistakes to find out, right? I was leaping on the mistakes and the stories of others. So it made me always want to listen, to hear more stories. So people felt I talked a lot or listened a lot to people. So at the time of my life, they said that my best friends were the older ones. But for me, one of the things I love to do, for example, I love to read and I love to write poems. And at the time, I won literature awards in school. The reason was because in 2 hours or 3 hours, I could take a 20 years experience of a writer and add to my life. So it made sense to add 20 years by just 2-3 hours. So we call ourselves voracious readers. We were very, very voracious to read anything in print. And little wonder when I won the best in CRK called Christian Religious Knowledge, they gave me meals and bone, right? So it's very antithetic, right? But it was interesting because that was how curious I was, looking for answers, trying to find them. And then when when God found me, when it was clear, at a young age, I knew that there was something about God and me and what He wanted me to achieve because I couldn't find it in any other thing. It made me to buy my first Bible. I remember I saved up 800 naira and bought my first Bible, right? And I bought an NIV Teens Study Bible and I read it back to back. For me, it was about my life. It was my future. And my first email had Astosi Hills. One day I was reading it and I looked up and I heard that scripture. I look up to the hills from where does my help come from? And it became Tosi Hills, looking up to the hills. And my journey changed direction until it found substance in getting born again early, right? And the challenges that followed, trying to find my path. Where am I going to? Who am I? When people do not understand who you are, they define you by what they think you are, right? People will say you are jack of all trades, focus on one thing. But I realized to a great extent, university for me was to prove a point that I could focus on this and get it done, right?
If they left you never had.
No, it wasn't. For me, these things were not the route to the success I imagined in my heart, right? A lot of the things that I had to do were just to say, look, I'm not doing this not because I cannot do it. It's just because this is not the path I think I want to go. For example, when it was time to get into school, everybody said it must be this school. Fortunately, unfortunately, I went to the best school in my opinion that God wanted me to be in, and it was an interesting 4 years of my life. So when I was in uni, I was a class rep, I was the president of a fellowship, I was making cakes, I was selling different things, I was teaching private lessons to students in secondary school. Remember, back step, in a secondary school year, I don't know what year the equivalent, SS2, I stopped collecting money from my parents. So it was me saying to myself, I want to survive as a child. And from that time, I can remember asking for money again. From that point, I took, as it were, a responsibility. So at the time, my elder sister said, I must give you money every month because you look like someone that will be very arrogant when you become very rich. And you say, who helped me? So it was interesting to see.
Was she right or wrong?
No, I'm not arrogant. Just trying to say that you remember the people that play a very vital role in your life, and which is true, right? And it's an interesting journey over the years. What they did not know I was an entrepreneur, right? I'm a serial entrepreneur. I am that person that fixes things, right? And I always solve problems, right? So they did not understand that. And when they didn't understand it, they would define it the way they did. So moving on, journeying from there, I got a bank job at the time. And it was interesting to know that my bank job lasted for 2 years. And I sat down one day, I said, sit we here till we die. And that was it. I moved on to Globalcom, and the same thing happened, sit we here till we die. That was something more for me. I was trying to find out something more. And eventually, the entrepreneurship I got into it fully. And the rest, they say, is history, right? 2017, we moved into the United Kingdom, right? And everyone said for you to come into the UK and you're dependent of someone in a sponsored visa, tier 2 sponsored visa, my wife is a medical sonographer, that you must do care. And unfortunately, I'm not that person that goes by the must. Everyone is unique. And that fueled my rebellion, as it were, to show that I must not do care, to be who God has called me to do, right? And that's not to BS anyone that's doing care. I still do recruitment in care, right? That's one of the businesses I do, but I have never done care. Not because it was for me, it was like because people challenged and said that's the only thing you could do to be responsible. And the journey to how many companies have opened and closed in the UK were all the learning curves. So it's an interesting journey that I look back and I say it was worth the journey, and it's been worth the journey.
So the reason why we're doing this is this,
Yes.
Having founders, thought leaders, business entrepreneurs in the UK share their own stories. The big idea is to tell what is true, what is real. Prior to meeting you, everyone said, meet Tochukwu. Tochukwu is the guy you should meet in Birmingham. Because he does business, he has an eye for it. Now I'm looking at Tochukwu and I'm asking him, what has the journey been like for you? Welcoming people from your part of the world, but in business, because business's name is, you can only run business and you only have business if people come back a second time. If nobody comes back a second time, if someone says if you're working and no one is working behind you, you're taking a stroll. So in business, it means for the fact that people recommend you means you've been doing it right. And the clear thing is, how were you able to build everything that makes you who you are? Interesting, we're shooting in your studio.
Yeah.
We shot the first episode of BTC, the Breaking Coconut Show in the UK, was shot in your own studio. And you didn't build a studio overnight. It means you've been able to build whatever it is. You understand the business environment. And I know you've been also in several legitimate business. So how has it been for you? And what is it for you in the city?
Sincerely, for me, business is about finding and solving a need, right? There must be a need to solve. And in solving the need, there must be where the money is, right? So it's first of all finding what the need is. It could be, 80% of the people we asked questions who were veterans in the UK felt I shouldn't start a studio because in their head and in their knowledge of the UK market, a studio will not work and will not make money. Well, two things were for us. God told us to start it, and I know how to make money from anything. That's my stock in trade, right? Just bring it out and I can show you where the money is. I can show you 10, 4, 5 ways that you can make money from any business. So that's where I'm a business consultant, right, on the side. So I can look at anything, literally anything, right? I'll give you a practical example. When I came to the UK and people said, you can't make money from anything except care. I said, no, that's not true. I made money from cooking. I love to cook, right? And until one day someone parked in front of my house and paid me £700 and carried food that I cooked. And I'm like, that's real.
I solving the problem.
Right? So I started realizing, okay, beyond the sum, how do I take it to the next level? Now, so some businesses that I have done were just to help me pay the right bills, because we are here in the UK, we don't pay rent once a year.
You pay it monthly.
There are right things that are direct debits that must be paid. There are bills that are on a continuum monthly, and you cannot fail because Your credit is tied to who you are, your identity on what you can achieve and do. Now you need to understand where you are. For you in the UK, if you're new, you need to understand the market. And as you are coming to the UK, don't come with the Nigerian mentality. I'm not saying don't be Nigerian. I'm not saying don't be who you are, right? I am fully Nigerian. I identify as Nigerian, as Igbo. However, I do not carry the mentality of the entitled Nigerian and come into this space and try to make it work, right? One thing I've noticed working with the people in this climb is that we from Nigeria and Africa, we have a very thick tone.
Okay.
Sometimes the way we come across, give me this,
It's very...
it could be domineering and commanding.
Yeah.
So someone that feels like you're shouting, right? But you actually are not shouting because you're just saying, give me this.
Especially those that have lived in Lagos all their lives.
Do you understand? So where you are coming from, you come in and they're like, it's too boisterous, it's too this.
Yeah.
But you are not. Sincerely, you're actually not. But it's just...
I've also lived in Lagos, so this is not...
Right?
This is me being
Lagos, right? But I'm not understanding that where you need to sit down and ask yourself, where I am, especially in the UK, what are the tenets? What are the clients? What are the things that are required? And what are the opportunities? I can't give you everything here. That's why I'm a business consultant. Come, I'll give you those details. Because these are the things that you need to understand. So don't come from Nigeria and say, hey, I've come to the UK now and everything that I'll pick money from the ground. No, it doesn't work. You have to qualify for it. You have to get them. I didn't just start this business today, right? There are things I had done that failed. I did some business from home. There are some things I had to, because you need to pay your rent. You need to pay the business rate. You need to pay the different things, right? So you need to understand, first of all, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and when and why you want to do it. And some of these things need you, for example, if you're new, sometimes you might not be able to qualify for some funding because you've not stayed for up to 3 years in the UK. You've not stayed for up to how many years in the UK. So there are things that are tiered that you must qualify by this time. And then the other thing I think people should always learn is to how to leverage on relationships, right? Come into the place, there are networks and positive opportunities and groups that are available to help people. And I think that's one of the things people will learn, right? So coming to the UK for me, it's been an interesting journey, right? Navigating and, for the first time in my property business in the last 1 year, was the first time I took 5 properties in one day. But before then, all I could do was take one. And it was interesting because it was my daughter's birthday, 12th of December. And that for me was remarkable. And on the 12th of December that year, we took on 5 properties in one day, right? And so it was a leap in what we have been doing. But we didn't just arrive at that. We were doing this, paying the price, learning the course, and paying the price. Because taking the properties, it had to take some losses in some 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. But the question is, why are you here? Do you learn from the mistakes? So it's not about always having success. It's about what the success you have after the failure and how you transition from there. So it's been an interesting journey, really, that is a long discourse, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So would you say from your own journey, for most, what have you experienced more? What's your own personal story with people from the part of the world where you come from?
Like I said to you, I've met the good, bad, and the ugly. So if you're asking me for the good, I can tell you a story about the good. I can tell you a story about the bad. I can tell you a story about the ugly.
Don't worry, leave the bad and ugly.
But the truth is that it doesn't give you a complete understanding.
Are you ready to tell us the 3 of them?
I can have long stories about all of them, right? For example, I never knew I could be in courts, right? I never believed I would go to court. And the reason I'm in court was because a fellow Nigerian took me to court for something that was clearly wrong.
Okay.
Right? And it was sad and it was painful because I 2 months, 3 months ago, the family were literally kneeling down and begging me to help them get that property. And I get it, and I tell you, in this place, you take a lease of at least a year. And you took that lease and you didn't, 3 months into your lease, you decided to leave the house, right? And I said to you, no problem, you have your rights. However, your deposit will work until we get a replacement. That's the normal process. The laws are open. And suddenly I'm in court because I'm like, brother, did you not consult properly? Anyway, the long and short of that story is that I won that court case, right? Okay. But it was an eye-opener for me that a fellow person from my state.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's just that I have seen the good.
Sorry, man. I feel you.
No, but I've also seen the best introduction I've got was from someone that is my friend.
Yeah.
Right? I literally sat down with a friend, and it was December, and he said, "Yeah, I remember you took us to this place for your 40th birthday. It was a surprise birthday. I realized you didn't eat because you were so overwhelmed by the surprise. We want to take you back to that place for Christmas." I'm like, "Oh, thank God, we didn't even cook for Christmas that day." And he said, "Okay, let's go there." And we got there, and we needed a certain number to complete that table. And he simply said, "I'll introduce you to somebody." And that introduction has been a life-changing event for me, right? I've sat down, and someone that has been my very good childhood friend, right, that we've known for more than 20 years, we were friends since we were 16, right? And today we are doing a joint venture that we're spending almost £100,000, and he's putting equal equity. So I can't tell you that it's been bad because of Nigerians. No, I've met the good, the bad, and the ugly. Same with every other person I've met from any country, Europe, UK, Africa. I've met because I'm in the space where people, unfortunately, what you need to know when you deal with people are looking for reasons to blame, who to blame for their failures. People don't like to take responsibilities, right? Everyone wants to say it was a success. Check it now. When we are growing up, you take first position. I am number one. You take the 20th position. They gave me. We are always
because they had to give me because I'm number one.
They gave me, right? But when he's number one, I took first position.
Yeah.
But when you are 20th, they gave me 20. That teacher is wicked. So everybody, human beings, are naturally looking for who to blame. Yeah. Right? So, and that is for me where I play. My business consultancy is, you don't want to take the blame, I'll take the blame. And if I take the blame, I should take the glory. Right? So that's the same thing. Jesus Christ realized, sorry I'm preaching. I'm not preaching, but I'm just trying to say, even from the Bible, Adam, why did he eat the woman?
But was Adam wrong?
But see what happened. The effect of that statement
was
that God now asked Eve, why didn't you? And Eve said, it's a snake. You ask again, was Eve wrong? No. However, God passed judgment on the snake. But instantly, the transfer of authority moved from Adam to Eve to the snake. I love studying the Bible and asking questions.
If you read it at that tender age,
no, I understand.
You get it.
I was asking those questions.
Yeah.
Now go back to Jesus. The moment Jesus came back and was going to be crucified, they said everything to him. People thought that he could have just replied and called anybody to. But he remembered, the moment I blame any other person, I lose the authority.
Yeah. True.
So he kept quiet. Because he knew the moment I transfer this thing, I've lost the authority. Yeah, I've lost the glory. And that's what he came to take back. And that was what the fight was. And that's why he could be glorified. And we are not saying Jesus glorified. He is glorified because he took the pain.
Taking us to church more.
Do you understand? Now, so that is the same for me. You see, for me, my business life is about the things I read, the life I live in the Bible.
Yeah.
So my best book for business is actually the Bible. Everything I have done in business is from following David, from following Solomon, everything. You know, at the time, my calendar for the month was Book of Proverbs because it has 31 chapters. And so every day of the month is a chapter. And it's a practice I started when I was 8, 9, right? I was young with my best friend, right? By the way, I've passed 40 now. So you can know how long it's been there, right? And it's interesting that my kids are now doing it, because I said to them, this has helped me. It has helped me. I now know that if I come to an event, I shouldn't go to the chair, to the high table, because they might just tell me that there's someone more higher than you.
Comes.
And you will be ashamed to walk out from there.
So, but when you leave your seat, when you remain where you are, it will elevate you.
And you have the honor of going there.
Yeah.
And this is, for me, Proverbs running in my head.
Yeah.
But I never say you are too wise. I'm not too wise. I've just read my Bible, right? The Bible has paid me life such that I have done a recitation from Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Thessalonica, Timothy, Titus, Philemon, John, Jude, standing up. It's 1,120 something verses, right? And I stood up and I won a scholarship with it. So I've seen the Bible pay me. So it's, for me, I'm a businessman. I'm like, this thing has paid me life, because I've seen the people that have done the other one, and I've seen how their lives have ended. So you see, every day for me, I've seen good, I've seen bad, I've seen the experiences that I gave someone a house, and I went back to the house, they moved out of the house, and I started crying. I'm like, why would a human being do this to another person's house? Right?
Reflected their values too.
Do you understand? It reflected their values, but the reality is that I had to pay almost 1,700 to repair their house because the lease is in my name. Do you understand? That's the reality of it. But I had to pay that price. So tomorrow now, when you see me, I'll eventually give my children $1 million pounds. It's a promise I made to them. Right? When I do it, don't come and say I'm doing it. I'm training them to manage it. I'm training them to be business conscious. Yeah. I'm paying the price for it. But you don't know the journeys that have brought me to this is the sacrifices and the pains I've borne. Right? So people want to just appear there without knowing the stories and the pains, the sleepless nights. The other day I was in 6 cities in one day. I was not doing it because I just wanted to prove a point. I need to pay the price. Because in the other day let me give you a practical example. I did the maths. I won an auction, right? I buy things on auction, and I won an auction. It cost me almost 10 grand to buy it. But to bring it from the location where it was to me will cost me an extra 3 grand if they bring it. And I don't have the space to keep it in one time. But if I drove and rented a van and go 6 times, it will cost me an average of 1,200. And I can stagger my movement and plan the storage. It made sense. Everybody said, why wound your body? But I said, wound my body. I took loan to pay this thing. I'm going to spend another 3,000. I've not even made money. I rather gradually ease in it. Now, but it's interesting that when that finishes selling, it's still selling on eBay and every other place where it's selling, right? It will pay times 3 for what it is. But I am solving a problem, but solving the problem comes with cost and the realities of it. So my point is, people need to learn that the glory life has a pain point, right? And that's what business is.
I'll make your business class easier so they don't take everything, right?
Okay, yeah. They should pay for it, yeah.
So going forward, I'm moving into the UK from different parts of the world. What do you think is the best things you think you should take note of? And from your own lessons and things you think people should pay more attention that we think are more important.
Buy less clothes, carry less clothes and come to the UK. You don't need all those clothes you're carrying. You will not wear half of them. Instead, use that money and buy food. You will need it.
This advice is crazy, but life is about the crazy ideas.
You will get cheaper clothes. You get fine clothes. Especially if you come in the wrong weather. Right? You will realize that because you are living in, for example, Africa, where temperature is 30 something degrees.
Yeah.
And you come into a place that is minus 6 or 7, 10, 12. You see that all your clothes, 10 of it will not even move cold from your body. Right? So you've wasted space that you would have carried to carry food. Because Nigerian food and African food is quite expensive here. Because the only reason is because we have to fly it from Africa. It's not yet grown here. That's one part of business I still want to go into, agriculture. In the UK, growing African food, right? It's a good opportunity, right? Because if you do that, you boycott all the bottlenecks of flying and all that and reduce costs. We'll go into it. So you see, another advice, have as much money as you can and don't be quick to spend it. There are cheaper ways and places you can buy things. and then explore the free and cheaper options before you go and say, I want to wear Balenciaga in the UK. My brother, you Balenciaga yourself out of and realize you don't have money.
Because they're all clothes and the bills are
the bills, so keep your eyes on the real things. Your bills need to be paid, and they are real things. It doesn't just mean that the moment you come into UK, you get a job the next day. It could happen for some, right? But be real and live your life. And then if they told you when you come to UK, you get a £50,000 job, my brother, you might need to start with a £100 a week job to pay your bills. You might start with an agency to pay your bills. It doesn't define who you are. Trust me, if people tell you who they are, what they do in the UK, you'll be shocked. But people do a lot to pay their bills. But keep your eyes on the goal and keep your focus on what you want to do. And then explore free opportunities to get help.
Before you spend.
I have helped lots of people that have asked. The lady was spending ×3 of money and she just literally asked me a question. I said, I know where you can get this for 1/3 the price. And she was crying. I'm like, I said, I'm not telling you sorry because you had my number. All you need to do was to ask. And she said, I'm now learning that the new phase of my life is to ask. What's the worst that will happen? They'll say no. What's the worst that they'll say no, don't know.
Or they say yes.
Right? Sorry again, back to the Bible. My argument is the 4 lepers. They saw this way, they will kill us. Hunger will kill us in Israelite land. This way, they might kill us or they might give us food. They chose the one that had me. And as they walked, God used them to work a miracle for the Israelites. They ate and said, this thing we're doing, let's go and call them. So God could use the most unusual person. See, lepers to change the status of Israel. So God could use the unusual. My blessings in life and the favors I've got from God have come from the most unusual places. I can literally tell you that this studio was started because I got to church and there was a need for a cameraman in church. And I did not know jack about cameras. I know my family are into cameras, but I believe they should be videoing me and they should do it. But I got to church and I saw the need to help and to be of service. And I started learning about camera. Today I'm now behind screens. I'm getting jobs that have paid me money in the studio and the media work because I gave my of the service and I met a need. So people should be need conscious, help to serve a need. It's not always about the money you gain today. Always help people. That's they say my problem is I don't know how to say no, right? But if I look and balance out the favors that God has brought my way by the people I've helped and how the blessings is turned to me, last, God has been great, right?
Awesome. So, would you say you've broken your coconut?
I've broken different coconuts.
Oh, they are different?
Oh yeah, I don't have one coconut.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, I have different coconuts.
Okay.
In fact, there's one I'm about breaking now.
Do you need help with breaking?
No. In fact, one day I walked into an interview and I met another contact that I know is another broke coconut here. So for me, it's a journey. I'm on a journey, right? And it's layered. I don't know if you played games, all this Super Mario game.
Yeah, true.
It's layered. At each level, you conquer a level to go to a level. So when you say break, I've broken your coconut, it means that you can't die. Go to level. Sure. Right? If you breaking your coconut, the last coconut is just that you then took you and you died. Do you understand? For me, the coconuts are different. So success is progressive.
Okay.
At each level, at the time I left Nigeria with my bag and my 2 sons, I broke a coconut.
Yeah.
Because my father would only take my siblings out of the country and come back to Nigeria. Me, I did the next level to relocate my family out. So I broke a coconut. But after breaking that coconut, I had to eat the coconut, the reality of that coconut.
Yeah.
Right? I came into the UK and I realized that all my driving Desperado James Bond were a total different place. They were driving a different hand and Nigeria was different. And the first day I drove a car, I went into one way and I was speeding in the wrong direction. You know when you are speeding in the wrong direction? I was speeding in the wrong direction until people were looking at me and saying, "This guy, you okay?" I quickly turned and retraced myself and backed by a line. Another thing entered my head. Don't come with Nigerian mechanic to shunt lines. I started following. There's a line, there's a queue, follow queue. So you see, my reorientation started.
Yeah.
Right? suddenly I could know that this weather, if you don't cover up, you will hear it.
The weather is very,
weather
very
is,
personal.
Do you understand? And the UK weather is unpredictable. It will rain, it will sun. In one day, it could do everything. Now I started realizing, okay, I could spend £1,000 on a shoe. Or I could just enter a charity shop and get the same shoe for £40. And the truth is, in the workplace or in life, nobody will stop you on the road and say, is it this one you're wearing or this one?
Is it the £100 or the £500?
So I started realizing priorities.
Yeah.
Right? You know, coming to the UK, people said to me that when you dress in a certain way in African attire, you are stereotyping yourself. And in my children's school, we were always wearing the Igbo attire and the Nigerian attire. It was interesting that one day the school calls us and say, we are having a traditional day and we want you, your family, to represent Nigeria.
Awesome.
And my children felt proud. And I heard in their school, in the whole school, they were singing Onubu soup or Ras soup. And he said, they asked my son, what is your best soup? He said Onubu soup or Ras soup. So my kids now took, oh nice, this thing we're wearing is actually an identity.
Yeah.
Right?
Compared to feeling left out. So
now before they were like, you guys wear this. No. So I started realizing I could redefine my. So for me, breaking your coconut is at different levels. Starting the studio was a coconut we broke. After investing in it, we needed to make it work. It was a coconut, right? Starting the Airbnb business was a coconut. Starting the property business was a coconut, right? Taking a franchise in different things was a coconut. Every business I had done, the one that has closed, there were coconuts that had broken that I realized I needed to patch up. Do you understand? So having the fortitude to say, boy, this one is not working.
This one is not working.
At the time, one of my offices was closed for 6 months. And the landlord was saying, bring my money. I said, sir, it cannot work. I cannot pay this rent. Take me. I said, I'm at the ground. You can't push me again anywhere. And until he sat down and for the first time in my first UK history, a landlord reduces the rent after 5 years lease. It normally goes up. But when I sat down with him, I realized that these people are human beings like me. I started having personal relationship with landlords. Now I can say, I want this house and this is the amount of how I'm going to pay. And they say, what are you doing with that house? And I give them a list. And I said, I don't have money to pay. I want my rent to start in 3 months' time. And this is the reason, because in this one I finished. And I said, I like you, take it. Meanwhile, other people had money to give him. But there was something else he saw. So I had broken another coconut of facing my fears. Right? I could walk into places and I finished talking, they're like, wow, that was interesting. I give you a practical example. Sorry, am I talking too much?
No, you're not. You're talking very...
Okay. Yeah.
But you see, our guests are interesting.
Yeah.
They're listening to you.
It's interesting. One of the interviews I had was a job to say you must, on this interview, you must prepare, do this, say about the company. This job I did, enjoy company, so enjoy UK. We are partners for EE and BT. Now, it's interesting that we are having the interview, and then someone says, tell me something that nobody knows about you. I say, he said, tell me something interesting about you. I said, do you want to really know? He said, yes. He said, I finished watching Superman. Someone said, don't tell me what I'm thinking you did. I said, yes, it's that thing. I finished watching Superman. I went to the highest part of my house. I tied my sister's nightgown on my head. And I dived and spread my hands. And instead of going down, I realized, instead of going up, I realized I was going down.
That you were super down.
Before I could finish calling my sister's name, Bomba, God bless her soul, she's now in heaven. Before I could finish saying, Bomba, I dived with my head. And that's how I broke my nose. So there's a gall in my nose now. That's how I got it. And my best friend that I jumped with broke his hand.
Oh, you had...
Oh, we did it together. Do you understand? Uche is bad. I said, you must have an Uche in your life. The guy that will take the risk.
He's your hype man.
No. So the problem you have is to fight any of us. But when we are fighting, not coming between. Right? So he was my best man already, actually. So it's interesting because, they will always say, we'll do Tochukwu and Uche. I'm out here living in life. Because we would dare anything. As in, we would go to the mountain, we'll stay there and be shouting, oh, we conquered Enugu! And we're in one small hill in Transicool. Do you understand? So we would go to the height of the house and say, have you thrown some assault back? The back that we used to do with your leg and one, apama, two, apama, and throw it. Now we finish it on ground. We go to first level of the floor. We go to first level of the ground, and we do it from the first decking. And so, can we do it like this? Can we throw you? Can you do 2? Can you do 3? But those things were defining me in taking risks. Right? Now I won't allow my children to do some of those things because I didn't have all the mentorship I needed.
Yeah.
They didn't understand me. Right? A lot of my brothers didn't understand me, so they pushed me aside. And that pushed me to try a lot of things. I'm grateful to God they were not bad things. But now with me being a mentor in my children's life, I allow them to explore. But I guide them to do the right things and make them. Of course, they'll make their mistakes, but not the mistakes that will cost them a lot. Mine cost me a lot of broken bones. Right? So I come back the day, they said to my dad, he has broken the leg. The next day, he has broken the other one. The other day, the back. I did some assaulting and I hit my leg on the edge. I broke every part that is. Well, say which part is really in your body and needs to be broken. Right? I watched Okocha in the football and I said I must dribble like Okocha in the next match. And that day, I went to dribble like Okocha. I stood on a stone. You know, we play football on stones. And I stood on the ground to do that 360 that he does on the ball. As I did it, I didn't know I was doing it on the stone. The stone shifted, my hand landed on the stone, and I fell on my hand. And I stood up, this one was standing, this one was twisted. Right?
Your childhood was very eventful.
It was eventful. So my life has been an eventful life. You understand? So when I tell you, my children now just literally tell me that they pull. When I pull my clothes and shirt. And then I said, well, which mark is this one? I said, this one is for... So I have a story to tell them about every part. You know, I tried to say, play with my iron. I said, the iron cannot do this thing. Iron cannot get this out. And I tried. And we are doing, me and my friend, we are doing with iron. Right? And iron started giving me blister. I'm like, Jesus. Right? And you say, okay, when it gives you blister, how do you treat it? How do you allow it to grow the water? You know, it were things that we're experimenting. Right? Now, down to how to save money. My best friend and I, Uche, I saved 50 kobo, 1,000. 1 naira, 1,000. And my mom sold, I sold. So we play around, I take everybody to play. When we finish playing, because my mother has taught me how to sew. I said, you can bring all your clothes. I'll sew it for you, 1 naira, 1 naira. They'll bring it and I sewed for them. And I made the money. And I started saving. So the day my mom took it to the bank, I said, this boy that saved 1 naira to 1,000 and 50 kobo to 1,000.
Should be someone we should look at.
Right? So, looking back now, when I see children, I'm like, okay, you're not even dead half of the things we've done, but you should do it well. Right?
Yeah.
I imagine that they allow me play football with all these faults. I would have been the next. Yeah.
See what the world means to me.
Yeah, but it's interesting now to know that these things have helped me mentor a lot of youths. Right? So, when we did our TV reality show, we went back to Nigeria, spent a lot of money. Right? When we calculated how much we spent, it was almost nearing 200 million. Right? But it was a good... When I lost my first big money, right? These were the things and the stories that have helped me to look ahead and say the future is really bright. It's interesting that was the line I gave my wife when I was trying to cut her 14 years ago. Right? I looked at her and said, the future is bright. Fuck off. Make the future be bright since I'm the one that. But it was interesting. When we were doing this, when it was time to get married, right? I didn't have a job. I was working in the bank, but I had left the bank. I left the bank. I was in between jobs at that moment. I just started with Glow. I just left Glow. I had not started Glow then. I was just in between jobs at that moment. And we had planned the wedding. And the budget for the wedding, we planned for ourselves. We were not planning for anybody to give us money. Or so much that all we had was less than 0.4% of the total cost. Right? And we had just 10,000 naira. We were planning a wedding of 4.5 million naira. Right? And there was no place to look for it. But somehow, he said, we just held hands and prayed. This is what we want. And none of this were frivolous. There are things that we needed. And how God provided. Now we're looking back 14 years, 3 children in between. And the success we've done, God has used us to do, and the people God has used us to bless. We could only know that it's just God. And someone just daring to believe. So anything I say to anybody, dare to believe. The vision is, no matter how the vision is, how big, how small, just dare to believe. I'm a firm believer. Right? Another coconut I want to finish when we finish this your show is that someone should just come here and give me £1 million and say invest. That's
So-
another coconut.
No, when they give you, we'll share it. It will come.
No, it's not for
it
sharing,
happens.
it's for business, investment.
Do you want the 1 million or you don't want it?
No, but I'm telling you, it's not the one, I want the one for investment.
Do you want the one for investment or you don't want? Because they're listening.
I want the one for investment.
Good. Don't worry, they've heard.
Pounds or dollars. I want naira. But it's interesting because, like I said to you, every stage of one's life
Yep.
is a coconut to break. Right? So for me, at different stages, when last year I had my 40th birthday, it was an interesting milestone, and it was interesting surprise birthday that you were part of that surprise, and I was interesting to see the faces and people there. But I never believed, because of the pressure and the troubles and the challenges I faced last year. Sincerely, I thought I was going to die last year because I didn't know I was going to survive. I thought that was it for me, that I wasn't going to survive it because it was so overwhelming and it was so huge. I thought, but see me, this is almost a year after, and we've made so much progress. And sometimes you need to sleep over it.
Yeah.
So make decisions, sleep over it, and the success comes up. Sorry, I've been talking for a long time.
No, it's good. It's good. So, firstly, I'll say this. Like I said, we shot this in your studio in UK in Birmingham. So the first episode of the BTC show UK.
Please come for more.
So don't worry. This is the advert placement. Don't worry.
Okay.
You'll find him in Birmingham. We'll share his address.
Okay. The website is www.imagodei. IMAGODEI. I think so. .co.uk. Okay.
Don't worry, you get it scrolling. But the good thing was that they were able to work with us with this, and thank you for the space. It's an amazing place. If you come to the UK and you want to do anything media, you want to shoot, you're looking for a space, don't worry, it's a good place to come in Birmingham. And they also have an Airbnb space
We do the Airbnb, we do the property, buy things in auction for people, property, houses, Airbnb, service accommodations. We're in that space.
So before we round up, I will say firstly, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being a representative of, if your ancestors are in their grave, they'll be happy.
Oh, my father will be turning like that. It's interesting because that was my best friend, right?
So it's rare to have such stories, but that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I come back from school, and my dad is in my room with my friend. I'm like, "That's what are you doing, my friend?" Say, I love the closeness. And then he said, "Sit down, let's talk." And he's telling me stories from when he was 15, and 16, and 17, and he tells me stories of his life. And to a great extent, when my dad passed, I think I got the wealth of his knowledge. I didn't care about the wealth, but I got the wealth of his knowledge because he was my friend. So I could tell you, Daddy said this at this time. This happened. So when we were writing, I could tell them, no, this is the story. Because he was my friend. So he'll be turning and saying, telling God, no, that's my son, that's my son. Well, actually, I think God doesn't know my son.
The sector you present, Nigerians in the diaspora, immigrants, and the good thing is that we have several stories. The idea is to tell the real stories of people that make an impact. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And hopefully you were able to do more business, okay? So, there's a coconut.
Okay, so this is another coconut.
So if you were in Nigeria, I would have asked you to break it.
There's a way we say it to me.
Kowako Igbo, that's in Igbo, right?
No, in our mind, Wako Igbo.
Oh, really? Okay. But the good thing is that since I don't understand what the laws are, I don't want to break. I don't know whether breaking this coconut might create more problems.
So if you break with the act, you'll ask for it.
Okay, so that's why I'll give it to you.
Okay.
It's yours?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
But thank you, Tochukwu. Thank you for doing this.
And the last thing I'll add to it would be one of the learning things I've heard in the UK that has helped me, and I'll say it out to everyone.
Yeah.
Learn to turn your pains to joy, right?
Okay.
One of the companies that I stood up for myself in the UK, and suddenly I lost my job, right? And I'm not saying go and attack your seniors, but this was right. I needed to do what I needed to do legally. Anyway, the company has closed now. But it was when I was driving out from there that I said, what will I do to turn my pain into joy? And the name of my property business started Enjoy, because the company was Enjoy UK. And I felt so bad about them. I wanted to take them to tribunal, I'll take this to. I realized that name was even interesting, Enjoy Relocation. That's how my property name business started, Enjoy Relocations Limited. And it was interesting because that's where the pain came from. But now I use that to start helping lots of people, because the property business really started from helping people. It wasn't about the gain, and suddenly I started having the right people. So turn your pains, your pain points, challenges, anything you suffered in life, there's something inside. Don't wallow in the pain. Don't wallow in the guilt. There must be a joyful part of it.
Okay. So thank you. For us to do this more, you have to subscribe. Look for us on YouTube, Breaking the Coconut Show, and maybe on your TV screen, so that we do more of it.
Don't break your skin, but break it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
It's time for you to subscribe. Subscribe to the BTC show. If you don't subscribe, how would we know the number of those who watch it? Subscribe. Click the subscribe button. Follow us on YouTube, Breaking the Coconut Show. Yes, Breaking the Coconut Show. Thank you. Thank you for breaking your own coconut.